Welcome back to the most entertaining hockey channel in all of YouTube, and that is, of course, the O Hockey Show. Now, today, I'm talking about the worst contracts in the NHL by each team, and I'm starting with the Jets because they start with W, and Winnipeg starts with W, worst starts with W, and it just makes sense. And I'm also going to do a best of series that's going to start from the beginning, so I might as well work backwards for each one. So, that is exactly why. So, you're welcome for explaining that. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what made you think of this? Well, I'll tell you, one special viewer out there. I'm doing this to entertain all of you out there that wants to click on this, but also doing my best of players series where I do look at each team and I name the best player. I was like, there's not a lot of contention here. You know, you take a look at the Blackhawks. It's like, okay, Patrick Kane, duh. Columbus, Goudreau. I mean, no, maybe someone else could jump out, but Goudreau, like, duh. Like, it's not going to change. But you go to a team like most teams, there's not really contention. You can basically say who you want to put, you know. Maybe Carolina, maybe Columbus, maybe Colorado. Maybe you could be like, I don't know, there's someone I would like more than others. But really, there's no controversy. So I kind of wanted to look not for one with controversy, but something that you can really take an opinion on in a stance. No one's gonna take a look at the Toronto Maple Leafs and care, like, no one's going to look at them and be like, Austin Matthews is not the best. It's Nylander. So, you know what I mean? So, I decided, let's take a look at some of these teams and take a look at what really matters, and that is money, the dollars, the time, the happiness, what they bring, impact, friendship, whatever else you want to think of is what we're going to take a look at today. So let's start off with the Jets and their contracts. Who has the worst contract on this team? And while I was looking at the Jets and looking through their lineups and their contracts and all that stuff, I kind of realized that they don't really have any bad contracts. I mean, we all know there's some bad contracts. But I was looking at them, I was like, man, these aren't really the worst I've ever seen. They actually are they're actually pretty good when it comes to contracts. Looking at it, I was like, man, I thought there would be kind of some obvious picks, which there's some obvious ones to me, but they were not, like, jumping out at me. So let's jump into it. Now, of course, I wanted to start with Blake Wheeler because he's the one that gets the most scrutiny. The captain of this team got a contract extension in 2018 for 5 years, and it hasn't aged the best, but I think it hasn't aged as badly as a lot of people say. I see a lot of crap come to Blake Wheeler, who was actually drafted by the Bruins and traded there. Something interesting to note. I thought that was kind of crazy. But anyways, I knew that for a long time. I didn't find that out today. But anyways, Blake Wheeler gets a lot of crap that I don't think he deserves. I don't think Blake Wheeler's all that bad. He had 60 points last year, which isn't the worst thing in the world. 60 points. He's still at the top of his team. He's getting better points than, like, Nikolai Ehlers. Now, of course, he played more games than Ehlers, but whatever. But anyways, Blake Wheeler, the captain, I don't think he's really that bad. A lot of people say he should be like a third-line guy. I disagree. I don't think he's that bad at all. I still picked him up for my fantasy thing, but I didn't throw him away. So anyways, but I think the biggest knock against him is his -17. And I see kind of where the scrutiny comes from. Where, yes, he still can make assists. I think he had like 17 goals and 30-something assists or something like that. Like, sure, most of his points are okay. But his -17, it comes from the fact that he's playing with guys like Kyle Connor, like Mark Scheifele on his line, right? He's playing with these guys that are scoring goals. Kyle Connor's top 10 in goals. Mark Scheifele's a top guy in the league. So you got to think that he's being benefited from the fact that he's playing along with those guys. And not to mention his -17 is one of the worst on his team. Now, also to mention Mark Scheifele's a -15, but whatever. So his contract ends in 2024, so he's got 2 years left at $8.25 million. Now, this is an overpayment for sure, yes. At the time, he got a 91-point season when he signed his extension, so it seemed fair then, but as, of course, it's age, it hasn't gotten the best traction, and his point totals have been going down every year. And it is not a good contract. I will say it's not a good contract, but I think he gets a lot more scrutiny than it deserves. I don't think he's the worst. I think he's way overpaid. I think he's more worth like a $5 to $6 million. But it's not really the worst. There's a lot worse contracts and a lot worse players being paid a lot more than what he's being paid. So he gets a lot more scrutiny than he deserves. I think a guy that deserves it more are the guys behind him in Brendan Dillon. Now, Brendan Dillon was a solid shutdown defenseman for the Capitals and for the Sharks, my team. Well, one of them. And I've always liked Brendan Dillon, but I kind of never really cared. He's always one of those type of defensemen that's like, yeah, he's solid, he's good, put him on that third line pairing or maybe even the second. He's a good shutdown guy. He's never going to get a lot of points. Of course, 20 points, nothing great. But he's a good guy to put on the ice if you want him to stop the other team from scoring, which he does good at. And I will mention, for only having 20 points, he has a plus 16, which I think was I think it's actually maybe the best one on the Jets, maybe not, but it was up there. It was definitely one of the top guys on his team in plus and minus. So I think he gets a lot more scrutiny than he deserves as well. I looked at a couple of Jets things saying like, oh, he's not the guy that they traded for, which I would agree has regressed a little. But being paid almost $4 million, that is an overpayment, but that is kind of what you get when you pay for a 6'4" guy shutdown defenseman. That's what you get, a $4 million. That's kind of like what it goes for. Jamie Alexiak, that's kind of what he's paid, I think. It's that same type of mentality. Giant guys, shutdown defensemen. That's kind of what the running rate for those type of guys are. He's only got 2 years left. This is kind of a fair deal. I think, well, fair. I would say he's probably worth more like two. I would say he's like 2.5. But 3.9 is not the worst. It's definitely not the biggest overpayment in history. So I don't think it's that bad. However, the contract that I personally think is the worst on this team that I actually didn't see a lot of people talking about is Nate Schmidt. Now, I've seen a lot of praise for Nate Schmidt. I see people talk about him like he's a really good player. I think he was fine on the Knights because that's just how that team was built and he fit with that system. But from going to the Canucks, people were talking big like, oh, big move for the Canucks. They got a big defenseman. And I was like, I don't think so. And it kind of paid off there. It did not very well. And here he comes to the Jets here in last offseason. But this season, 32 points, had a -4. And I want to get back to that. But he signed till 2025, so he's got 3 years left for $5.95 million. Now, that's almost $6 million. This guy, this defenseman, 32 points. Now, yes, that's more than Brendan Dillon. But the thing that I want to point out here is that this guy gets 32 points, yet he's a -4. Brendan Dillon at 20 and is a plus 16. You see, that means Nate Schmidt is a detriment on the ice, while Brendan Dillon is a plus 16. He's out there, good things happen. Good things happen when he's out there. And I want to mention, this guy is paid less than $150,000 than Mark Scheifele, a top guy on this in the NHL. A top guy in the NHL paid $6.125 or something like that. He is paid less than $100,000 less than Mark Scheifele, and he's paid for 3 more years, -4, 32 points. For me, I'm going to give Nate Schmidt the number 2 colored X. That's what I'm going to do. Because for me, that just spells disaster. That smells of absolute. It's going to be like a Vlasic contract, except Vlasic at one point was an actual amazing shutdown defenseman in the NHL, and Nate Schmidt has really not done anything other than be part of the Knights. So that's really all I have to say about that. Nate Schmidt, I think, easily has the worst contract, because at least where Brendan Dillon is overpaid, he's doing good things on the ice. Nate Schmidt, he gets 32 points, sure, but he's a -4. Where's the defense at? Where is the defense at, Nate Schmidt? Blake Wheeler, sure, he's -17, which is worse than Nate Schmidt, and he's paid more than him, but he's getting at least 60 points, and it's only in 2 years. For 2 years left, you know he's only getting at least 50 points this year. Maybe the last year it's really bad, he gets to the 30s, but that's only 2 years. Nate Schmidt's already in the 30s. He's already at the negatives for defense, for a defenseman, and you've got 3 more years of this. That is a terrible contract. It smells of aging like cheese. This is bad, and I don't like it. And I've never liked Nate Schmidt. He's got a really stupid-looking face. I'll just say it. But that's really all I have to say about the Winnipeg Jets contract situation. He has the worst. Who's the second? I don't really care. These guys, I think, get a lot more scrutiny than they deserve. I wanted to put guys like Josh Morrissey, but I've always kind of liked him. But I do think he's overpaid, but it's nowhere near what this guy is. So, thank you for watching. If you like this, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like, not a dislike button down below, and tell me, who do you think has the worst contract on the Winnipeg Jets? I think it's Schmidt. You might say Lowry, but I don't think he's overpaid that much. I just think he doesn't really deserve a spot. But anyways, tell me all that below. Tell me why I'm wearing this shirt. And that's really all. So until next time, I have been your dapperly dressed host, Owen. Until next time, too sweet. I hope you're having an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.